I love underdog stories, upsets, anything like that. When a club with a smaller budget goes out and shocks the world, that's what makes football the most enjoyable as a neutral. It's why Leicester City winning the Premier League will be spoken about forever. However, I want to focus on a different title victory, one where if Leicester never happened, it would be considered the greatest football story of the last decade. That's just my opinion, but today we're going to talk about why Atletico Madrid winning La Liga in 2014 is the best football upset of the last decade. Well, if we ignore Leicester, of course. Before we get to the title victory, how did Atletico Madrid eventually get to this point? From 2004 to 2012, they placed 7th, 11th, 10th, 4th, 4th, 9th, 7th, and 5th. Doesn't sound too hot, and in nearly every campaign, they sacked the manager. During this time frame, they did have incredible goal scorers like Fernando Torres, Forlan, Aguero, and Falcao. Despite the goal scoring talent and any success that occurred, it always got bad right away. They did have a European Cup in 2010, but the manager who led that squad left a year later. Then in December 2011, when another manager got sacked, a Christmas miracle happened. This is Diego Simeone, now known as, Diego Simeone. He was the manager to lead the club to another European Cup in 2012 and a Copa del Rey victory in 2013, defeating Real Madrid. That's incredible in its own right, but he would do one better with a La Liga title in 2014. Why is this title victory so special? Firstly, it came out of nowhere. There was success happening at the club with Diego Simeone, but who expected this? Certainly not Barcelona and Real Madrid. The clubs below those two are nowhere near the riches. Here's some context. From the 2012 TV income, Real Madrid made 140 million euros, while last place Granada made 12 million euros. In the Premier League, relegated Blackburn made 40 million pounds, and that was before the big money Premier League deals. In La Liga, the TV money distribution has only improved in recent years. However, Barcelona and Real Madrid were making over 50% of the revenue at the time. Now, there are other revenue streams, and of course, due to Barcelona and Real Madrid's worldwide popularity, that revenue number increases by even more. Let's not forget, these two clubs had Messi and Ronaldo, the two single greatest players of the generation and arguably of all time. While Atletico Madrid were starting to win trophies, that doesn't just bring you up to those two clubs right away. Basically, it's a big gap, and if you want to play with the big dogs, you usually have to play their game and spend more. You sometimes get outliers, but usually this is the case. Atletico Madrid did have the third highest wage bill in La Liga, but that was less than half of Barcelona and Real Madrid's. Clearly on paper, the quality of Barcelona and Real Madrid were exceptionally higher than anyone in the league. These two clubs attract the best players in the world, which has resulted in domination. They were the top two in the previous 5 seasons, including multiple 100-point campaigns and high 90-point ones. Atletico Madrid, on the other hand, hadn't won La Liga since 1996. Barcelona had 100 points the season prior, although sadly, manager Tito Villanova had to resign due to cancer problems, which meant Geraldo Martino was brought in. Nevertheless, they still brought in a guy named Neymar, which you might have heard of him. Let's throw in a bonus. Bartomeu wasn't president just yet, although he was at the club for a while at this point. At Real Madrid, they hired legendary manager Carlo Ancelotti. They also brought in Carvajal, Casemiro, and Isco, who would play important roles for the club in the future. Oh yeah, they also spent a record sum, unless if your source is Ronaldo, on Gareth Bale when it wasn't Wales, Gulf, and Real Madrid in that order. Atletico Madrid, on the other hand, sold Falcao, who scored 28 goals, with these names coming in. That included David Villa, who left Barcelona after scoring 10 goals. He was 31, his best years were behind him, he wouldn't come back to haunt them. Oh, wow. Incredible. Maybe Atletico could challenge for the title if everything went well, but despite people giving them credit, a La Liga title seemed nearly impossible. Still, they had the best defense in the league, including Diego Godin, who in my opinion was a top 3 defender in the last decade. They had a hard-working midfield with class players like Koke and Arda Turan, before things went a bit nuts for the latter. Speaking of nuts, that was Diego Costa, who scored 10 in the previous season, but he was ready to blow up. And not in rage, but with goals. He would also change the national team he would represent from Brazilian to Spain. Now, Brazil probably could have used him at the World Cup, and an ultimate team at the time, it was very confusing seeing a guy go from Brazilian to Spanish on his card. The season began, and that's where the magic started. After 8 match days, they hadn't dropped points. After 22, they've only lost 1 and drawn 3. Despite this incredible start, they were only first place on match day 22. That's because prior to that, Barcelona were having an even better campaign. Real Madrid were doing well too, but they were losing the important matches to Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. They also had the Champions League in mind, something they hadn't won for over a decade. Over the next few matches though, Atleti did have a dip of form, dropping points in 3 of their next 4, including a draw versus Real Madrid. In Catalonia, Barcelona were dropping matches occasionally, but the one on matchday 25 versus Real Sociedad was crucial. A few weeks later, Barcelona would lose on matchday 27 against Real Valladolid, which kept the door wide open for Atletico. What would they do? They burst through that door like Kool-Aid Man and won from matchday 27 to 35, 9 in a row. However, Diego Costa started to get injuries at the worst time of the season. After a loss to Levante on matchday 36, they drew Malaga on matchday 37 after an incredible last-minute save by Willy Caballero. Is the title picture done? It seems so at the time. Thankfully for them, hope was still alive as Barcelona drew against Getafe and Elche. There was a 3-point gap heading to the last day of the season, and guess what the last matchup was? Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona. The winner would get La Liga, but Atletico Madrid would also win the league with a draw. Despite only needing a draw, it would be a big challenge for Atletico Madrid, and it wouldn't be made easier with Diego Costa being substituted in the 16th minute. Soon after, Arda Turan was substituted in the 23rd minute. 2 of their key players that season, and bad timing for Atletico. Alexis Sanchez would make things worse 10 minutes later, an incredible goal to take a 1-0 lead heading into halftime. Something needed to happen for Atleti, and they came out firing with 2 great chances, but it would be the third one that would create history. A corner kick for Atletico Madrid, and it's Diego Godin who connects to it and ties the match 1-1. Scenes in Catalonia, and aside from a disallowed Barcelona goal, Atletico Madrid were shutting them down. Barcelona were struggling to create chances, and they were facing a side that were working at 100%, and they wouldn't give a decimal of a percent less. With Simeone barking on the sidelines, they kept their 1-1 lead, and the final whistle blew. Atletico Madrid had done it. They had gone to the Camp Nou and overcame Barcelona to win La Liga. The Barcelona supporters all around the stadium couldn't help but just clap. An astounding achievement coming from a side whose budgets were hundreds of millions apart from the big 2. Squads on paper that weren't even in the same stratosphere when the season began. They showed who they really were. Champions of Spain. Looking back, I always thought this title was overshadowed, especially outside of Spain. Real Madrid would defeat Atletico Madrid in the Champions League final with Atletico being minutes away from winning it. However, a Sergio Ramos clutch gene began to form. Plus, another early Diego Costa substitution led to more problems after the 90 minutes, and Atleti were not able to keep up with Real Madrid in extra time. Los Blancos would celebrate La Decima, which was a massive deal at the time, and from an outsider's perspective, it may have overshadowed what Atletico Madrid did. In my mind, it didn't, but from a general football fan's perspective, it may have. Still, in my opinion, Atletico Madrid winning La Liga in 2014 was the best football moment in the past decade. Then Leicester came and changed the definition of a Cinderella story, and just to check, yup. With that being said, Atletico Madrid winning La Liga in 2014 was a big reason why I love talking about the sport. I was a big fan prior to it, but I got to see a great side to the game, and it's a big reason why I love upsets 99% of the time. Since then, Atletico Madrid haven't gone on to win much. At the time of recording, they did win the Europa League in 2018, and there could be some promising signs in the future. They took the success of a La Liga title and a Champions League final and built off that. Players left, but they were replaced. Another Champions League final didn't go their way, and in recent years, they seem stagnant. However, they now can spend more on transfers and wages than ever before. They can afford to keep a Diego Simeone for an incredible salary, and when one player like Griezmann leaves, it can bring in João Felix who can become a star. While you can question a lot of their transfers in recent years, you can't deny that their 2014 La Liga title victory was something special. Thanks for watching. Kool-Aid Man!